So I guess I'm not the only person that had the idea to do hot takes video. So in this video, we're gonna be reacting to Justin Copeland's hot takes. So I'm not gonna go ahead and rewatch the videos. I just took a screenshot of his hot takes, and I'm gonna go ahead and put them up on the screen, and I'll go ahead and give you my opinion on them. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with his first hot take on his first video. It is Manera Red Tobacco is only popular because it's strong. Um, I had the clone for Red Tobacco. I I don't think it's popular because it's strong. I would say it's popular because it's probably a lot of people's first tobacco fragrance. It's a pretty. I'm not sure exactly how much it goes for. It might be like around $70 to $80. But the scent profiles that smell similar to it, I believe, are more expensive. Um, which one? I believe it's Carlisle is one, which is by Parfums de Marley, which is way more expensive. There's also one more that I know it's more expensive and it smells similar to red tobacco. In my opinion, I'm one of those people that thinks that Carlisle smells similar to red tobacco. That's why I think it's more popular. I think it's the people that want a tobacco based fragrance, that's their go to. And the YouTube hype has something to do with that fragrance being so hyped. What he basically says in this video is that people only like the fragrance because it's strong and they're only looking for the performance and the projection, which I kind of agree, but at the same time, it's what the YouTube hype has caused for that fragrance, and it's also going to be people's first tobacco fragrance that smells that way. His next hot take is if you expect strong performance as a guaranteed feature, you're missing it as in missing the point. I think this is different for the fragrance enthusiast and the fragrance just the people that just wear a cologne, have a signature scent, don't really care about what cologne they have as long as they smell good. In that aspect, expecting a strong performance. For the fragrance enthusiast, if they like the fragrance for the smell and that's it, then they like it for the smell and that's it. It doesn't matter how long it should last. But if it's for like the fragrance or the person that doesn't care about fragrances, then of course they want something to last all day just because they want to be able to wear that fragrance throughout the day, wear that fragrance, maybe it lasts 10 to 12 hours, so more than a work day. And they just don't have to worry about buying different fragrances for different scenarios. That doesn't make sense for people that are not into fragrances. His next hot take is Dior Homme 2020 is superior to Sauvage EDT. This hot take is interesting. I believe Dior Homme 2020 and Sauvage EDT are just two very different fragrances, but they do a similar thing, which is a mass appealing scent. In my opinion, Sauvage EDT is a superior fragrance, most likely for the younger audience. Dior Homme 2020 is probably superior in the aspect of the more classy person, such as suit and tie. But just overall, in the spectrum, I would agree with him that Sauvage EDT is superior than Dior Homme 2020. The numbers also say it, just sales wise, how much they've done. His next hot take is it's always better to get a decant of the OG first. So basically, what he says in this topic is you should not get clones, you should get decants. And if you like the fragrance, get the OG. Now, we all know that Justin Copeland is pretty much a clone hater. I'm the person that gets the clone to try the DNA out, wear it a few times, and then I'll get the OG. So if the fragrance doesn't impress me enough, as the clone, let's say let's say a good example. Let me think. We'll use Tobacco Vanille. We all know how much I love Tobacco Vanille and Tobacco Touch by Mason Alhambra. So, Tobacco Vanille. Let's say I got a decant of Tobacco Vanille. Let's say I got a what, maybe a 5 ml sample that lasts me maybe 3 days. The Mason Alhambra one I've had for a few months, and I've worn it a few times, and it's that same DNA. I get to use it for longer, and then I can decide if I want the bottle of that fragrance. A decant of Tobacco Vanille could cost about $10, maybe. I'm not sure exactly how much decants cost. If they cost more, or they cost less than that. Tobacco Touch cost me probably about $20, and it's 2.7 ounces, and I get to wear it more times. Now, that's good for the fragrance, for the clones that are good at cloning that fragrance. If it's a twist, it wouldn't even matter because at that point you're missing the point. But if you're getting of course the dogs are playing in the back. If you're getting a good one, so like let's say Supremacy Silver, which is a really good Aventus clone, somewhat makes it redundant to go ahead and buy the full bottle for around $200 when you have one that smells really good, it's really close, and you don't have to buy the decant. If you buy the decant, in my opinion, you're wasting money, especially if there's a good option for a clone. Well, this is hot take number 5. Backup bottles are ridiculous. I do not agree with this hot take. So, let's say there's a fragrance you really love and you don't want it to run out. Let's say this is a fragrance you must have for the rest of your life, and you buy 3 or 4 bottles and you have a big collection, you know you're not going to go through the 3 or 4 bottles, then I think you should buy backup bottles. Not everyone's proud. No one's probably going to stay in this hobby for years, or from teenager to until they're about to retire. Maybe they want that one fragrance as a signature scent that they just keep on buying again. Mine would be, if I had backup bottles, it would be Dolce & Gabbana, the one. Let's say that fragrance was gonna go ahead and get discontinued. Just because I bought that fragrance so many times, I'd probably buy 3 or 4 backup bottles. Is it a fragrance I really wear a lot now? Not really, but I would hate to lose out on having that bottle or having that fragrance in my collection. Even when I wasn't really into fragrances, I had a bottle. If I ever get off of the fragrance train, then I'll probably go ahead and make sure I have enough bottles. That's probably a fragrance I'll always keep buying. So, in the aspect that backup bottles are ridiculous, I don't think so. I think it just depends on what you want it for. If you're just buying backup bottles because you like the scent, or it's just FOMO, fear of missing out, then I think that's where it's kind of doing it wrong. But if you're doing it just because you really do love that scent and you want to make sure you never run out of it, then by all means get as many bottles as you can. All right, hot take number 6. Hot take. Okay, so using price as an excuse to not try niche fragrances. So in this section, he pretty much talks about if you're using it as a price as an excuse to not try niche fragrances. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it's pretty much you should try niche fragrances because they're not expensive. They're not all expensive. I don't even know what to say to that one. I think let's go with Manceras. Even though Manceras are kind of on the lower tier of niche fragrances, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like, if you're really into fragrances, you're a fragrance enthusiast, you'll get into clones. I mean, I'm sorry, you'll get into niche fragrances. Let's say there's a clone of a niche fragrance, you'll probably pick that up. Let's say if you're the type of person to buy decants, you'll probably pick up a decant of a niche fragrance. But it kind of does get ridiculous when it gets to Roja. When it gets to that brand, I believe it's called Boadicea. That's when it gets ridiculous. That's just you're spending $400, $500 on a fragrance. I believe they don't have, or they have a lot of Roja fragrances, but I believe they didn't pay for most of them. I believe they got sent to them. But I believe with how his collection, or what I've seen from his collection, he probably would not pay that much for that many bottles of Roja also. So I feel like this one's kind of a hypocritical take, but that's just my opinion. I could just be looking at it the wrong way. I love Justin Copeland. I love watching his videos, but that's just my take on that one. Hot takes. It's a hot takes video. Number 7. Hot take number 7. Wearing fragrances you don't care about to please people you don't care about. So this one obviously talks about if you wear a fragrance because it's compliment getting, but you don't really enjoy the scent, then you're doing it wrong. I think it's, again, about the people that either want to smell good for whoever, which is the people that don't care about fragrances. They want something that smells good and smells good to everybody else. And then there's also the people that, like us, were more into fragrances. And I don't care about what other people think about my fragrances. I kind of just wear whatever I want. Obviously, in different settings. So if I'm at work, I've learned my lesson with wearing certain fragrances. So like Ombre Nomad, I'll go ahead and limit the sprays on that. Then there's also the fragrances that you can overspray to work and no one's going to care about it just because it smells good. So I think it's a time and a place. If, let's say, office safe fragrances, these are going to be fragrances that you could probably think they're boring, but you have to wear them to the office just to not stand out too much. So I kind of disagree with this hot take, but at the same time, I agree. If it's out in public, it's something I always want to wear. Hot take number 8. So on this one, he says the following fragrances are only great because they get compliments. On this one, I didn't even watch this part of the video, so I'm not exactly too sure on what he's talking about or which exact fragrances this is. Okay, so I just watched that section of the video. The fragrances he mentions is Hawas Ice, Percival, Dior Sauvage EDT, YSL Y EDP, Chanel Alero Home Sport, and Suspiro Vibrato. And basically, he's saying these are great, only great because they get compliments. I definitely disagree. Like, I don't know, that one's so Suspiro Vibrato. I have no idea what that smells like, so I'm not even gonna mention that one. Hawas Ice, I have no idea what that smells like as well. So I'm assuming it smells very designerish. So like probably 1 million, or like Azar Most Wanted. That's my guess. Percival, I'm not too sure exactly what that smells like. I've heard it smells pretty designer. Dior Sauvage EDT. So the thing about Dior is, where it gets to Dior Sauvage EDT and YSL Y EDP, I'll tell you exactly why I think about this. So Dior Sauvage EDT is one of the fragrances I tried. This was before I got into fragrances. I tried this fragrance in Sephora or Ulta way back then. Fell in love with the scent. I really love the scent. I'm surprised they made something as good as that, especially because I believe I got my Sauvage after the Creed. No, I got my Sauvage before Creed Aventus. So it was definitely a wow fragrance for me. Keep in mind, I did have the one by Dolce & Gabbana, but when I got Sauvage, that was a wow fragrance. Dior made so much money off Sauvage because of how good of a fragrance it was. So to say great just because they're great at getting compliments, I definitely disagree with that hot take. YSL YEDP. So I'll tell you exactly how I smelled the YSL YEDP. So I smelled YSL YEDP at a dealership. So I used to be a sales manager at a dealership, and the old sales manager, so while I was in training, he was wearing a fragrance. I didn't know what that fragrance was. I didn't really care at the time either. But I was just like, damn, that smells really good. What are you wearing? And he was like, YSLY. And he actually had a bottle in his car. He didn't care about fragrances. He just happened to have a bottle in his car because that was his go-to fragrance. And I was like, damn, I have to get myself a bottle. Never did. So, again, Suspiro Vibrato. I don't know what that smells like. Chanel Lero Homme Sport. I've never owned, so I can't tell you. The times I've smelled it, never didn't really impress me, so I never bought it. And Hawas Ice is just a TikTok trend that I don't really care about trying. Our hot take number 5 is content that only convinces you why you should buy certain fragrances is robbing you. So on this one, I kind of think he's just elevating his channel up a little bit. Just because he tells you different ways of how to wear fragrances or what you should do with fragrances or how you should get into like niche fragrances and basically educate you around or kind of tell you or guide you how to get a certain way with fragrances. I think people that do just top 10 lists all the time and make their commission off the affiliate links, I mean, that's just what they do. The people that don't care about fragrances, they don't need to know how to get into niche fragrances. They don't need to know how in depth Justin Copeland gets when he talks about fragrances. So realistically, they want either the best. We all probably all started with list, or for most of us, probably started watching the people with list and what's best, and you always want to get that one fragrance that's at number one. And then that's kind of when you either get really into fragrances or you get that fragrance you really like it, and that's it. You're off. You're not a subscriber. You're not subscribed to watch this person. You only wanted to know that one fragrance. What is it? I'll buy it if it's at a good price, and I'm out of here. So that I feel like those channels go and they just play the system. That's just what the fragrance community is. Not a lot of people stay long term. It's a pretty financially taxing hobby to have. So I don't think that's robbing anybody at all. But let's see. His channel, in my opinion, is more of a fragrance enthusiast channel, or people that want to be fragrance enthusiasts. It's kind of like building. If you want to become a fragrance enthusiast, Justin Copeland's channel is pretty much the guide that brings you to that point and kind of teaches you. So that's why I kind of feel like he's just elevating his own channel at that point. But just fragrance community wise, it's just people do different things in the community. It is what it is. Some people make the money off of it just because it's there. Some people decide not to because they don't think it's right. That's just what people decide to do. And obviously he thinks making those list videos is wrong. It is what it is. That's all I have for you guys today. That's a hot takes video on Justin Copeland's hot takes. Please leave a like, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think about what I said in this video and about what his hot takes have been. I'm really interested in knowing what you guys think about this video. Please leave a like, subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next one. I was supposed to get a package delivered today. Didn't get delivered, so this is my backup video. Hopefully tomorrow's video is what I was expecting. See you guys tomorrow.